Hello and welcome back to In Defense of a Movie Podcast. It's time for some jury duty.
Ho, 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 Dan.
Joining me as always is Aaron. Hey Aaron, happy holidays.
I'd like to be referred to as Brown Santa for this podcast. No, Aaron's fine. I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing good. I'm recovering from yet another cold brought home. So if I cough while laughing, you know what? That's just going to be a thing. I'm going to have an old man cough today, so.
Wouldn't have it
How
any
are you?
other way. Oh, I was laying my cock down today. Wait, I think that just might be dirty. I was doing some caulking in the house today, and if you guys have ever done that, it gets everywhere. At least it does, Aaron, for me. And so
you're always caulking in the house.
Yeah, my cock was everywhere. It was not great.
Got to get it sealed up really before winter, which is probably already now in Edmonton, I imagine.
Oh, yeah. We have gotten hit with some snow, finally.
Well, I'm really excited about today's episode because the more I started looking at the stuff I wanted to talk about, I realized that this is going to be a very alien/paranormal-centric episode, Aaron, which is probably my favorite type of episode.
Yeah.
To kick us off, I know that you saw Predator Badlands, and I thought a great way to kick off this episode would be to get your thoughts on it, because we texted a little bit about it, and so why don't we start there, and then we will just get into it. Let's get paranormal. Let's talk about some aliens.
Paranorman, is that what you said?
Let's get paranorman.
Movie? You know what I'm talking about?
I do, yeah.
Okay. So Predator Badlands. I can't really remember exactly what we talked about last episode, or last jury duty episode, but you had seen it, and we briefly talked about how a lot of people thought it could have been a little bit more manly. Yeah. I don't know, when you say things could be more manly, that just sounds a little gross to me, you know? And when I heard that, I was like, okay, let's see what this movie is like. And obviously I had high hopes after coming off of Prey, which was like a phenomenal movie. And there was like a lot of good reviews about this Badlands coming out. But after I watched it, it's not that it wasn't manly enough. Like I said, I hate that term. But for me, it was, the way that I will describe it, it was a little bit too cute. So what I mean by that is a lot of the things kind of worked out in the end. Yeah. And it wasn't like a big struggle to get there. And so that's what I mean by it worked out a little bit too cute, because I just felt that everything that they did in the story, the way that they wrote the dialogue and everything, and the order of the story, it just played out way too easy. Like he didn't have, in my mind, he didn't have a hard enough time. So I'm kind of in the camp where I guess I could see where people are coming from when they say it's not manly enough. But I don't know if that's the word that I would use to describe it. I would say maybe not violent enough. And then the other thing, I think I made a joke to you when we were chatting about it, and I was like, "Did Vin Diesel write this script?" Yeah. Because it was just so weird. You have this tribe of alien warriors who pride themselves being warriors more than anything else in the galaxy, and for whatever reason, I don't know. It just seemed really weird, because he I guess. For anyone who hasn't seen it, I would suggest stop listening right now, because these are some spoilers. But he makes friends with one of the androids, and then he makes what was it, a LASIK or LASIK or basilisk?
Basic basilisk.
Yeah, whatever the big bad alien thing was that he had to fight. I don't know, towards the end of it, they ended up being in his crew, and then he kind of flies back to his home world and slays his dad, which is just I don't know. I feel like it kind of contradicts itself, but I guess it makes sense. I don't know. What did you liked it though overall, right, Dan?
Yeah, overall I liked it. I thought it was fresh. I've given this movie a lot of thought. Probably more thought than it deserves, but over the last little while, especially since recording the episode and getting my thoughts out, there was one thought I kind of wanted to complete which is kind of the same way I felt about Romulus, Alien Romulus, where this kind of feels like an onboarding movie, which is, again, like Romulus, something I don't think people kind of respect as much, because it's like they're trying to cast a wide net and appeal to a much wider audience than they've ever done before.
Yeah.
And this goes back to our conversation even about The Predator 2018, because that movie was your R-rated, raunchy, action man, whatever movie with Shane Black at the helm. You know, on paper, everything there should have been what people wanted. Clearly it wasn't. It was kind of a junky movie, right? But this movie is trying to kind of reinvigorate the franchise and get more people on board that probably wouldn't have gone near Predator. Because I think Predator kind of became like a geezer teaser brand. Like a...
This is my nickname in high school. Geezer teaser.
Predator became like the Steven Seagal of science fiction movies for a while there. And I feel like this movie is really trying to... Well, basically everything Dan Trachtenberg's done so far has been trying to reinvigorate the franchise and reinvent it.
Yeah.
So my opinion of that movie is definitely shaped by that, where I'm like, it's a lot more like a Marvel movie. It's a lot softer in tone. But when I look at it as like a reboot of an IP, it kind of softens my critiques towards it, if that makes sense.
I get
because
that.
It serves a purpose.
I was thinking about this, and oddly enough, I think Prey and this Badlands movie has similar tones. Obviously different, like a female character and a male character. But for whatever reason, in the Prey story, it worked so well the way that he did everything, right? Yeah. And if there was somehow this movie, Predator Badlands, was adapted to being... like, let's say it was like humans or something, it would totally make sense. But it's just the fact that it was a predator. And don't get me wrong, I don't need him to be more manly. I think where I kind of draw the line is predators are kind of like self-sufficient, right? Yeah. You know, like, and throughout one of the themes of the whole entire movie is it's like he doesn't accept people to help because, like, when he's on the hunt, it's got to be him that kills it. But then through a loophole, he's like, oh, okay, I can have the android help me because she just says, like, you use me as a tool or whatever. Yeah. And, I mean, it does kind of make sense, but this is where I say it's a little too cute. And so I guess if it was me kind of doing this story, I would kind of keep everything very similar, but at the end, I wouldn't make him be friends with that, like, with the android and that one alien creature. Yeah. I would write the story more about him, the little guy, the little predator. Yeah. Because... I don't know. That's just where I would go, making him be more self-sufficient, making him go through like trials and like character development to like figure out how to get there. But I guess for me, the easy way for a character to get there is to show bonds with like other characters, right? Yeah. And so that's the route that they went with this. And for me, I guess, you know what, it could, like you said, since it's kind of like a whole rebranding of Predator, it does make sense. And it'll be interesting to see where they go. But for me, definitely, I think I would have preferred just a little bit more of a self-reliant Predator and just maybe turn the action up to, dial it up to an 8 or something like that. Yeah. The other thing that was also too cute for me is like when you're watching the movie, right, like you're always talking about Chekhov's gun, right? And it was like from the beginning. And there was just so many things that you're like, okay, like he's going to come back to this like exploding plant or whatever. And then he's going to use it. Yeah. And in that sense, it was just a little bit too predictable, where I would have liked to see, I don't know, I guess like a little bit more of a mystery. Yeah. And not so like laid out right in front of me.
It just so happened that every piece of flora and fauna he interacted on this planet would come into play at the very climax of the film.
Yeah. And like,
yeah, that's a really valid point. That definitely makes me like, oh yeah, you're right about that for sure.
And the other thing too is like the second android goes to the ship and like finds his brother's armor and stuff. And so like I thought that there was going to be this like really cool scene where he goes and puts on his like brother's armor and starts like, you know, like channeling his brother or something like that, like bringing him closer to it.
Right.
Yeah. Instead, he was just like, you know, playing with like lizards and worms and turning them into like weapons, right?
Squeezing snakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You know, the more you talk about it, the more I'm starting to like change my opinion a little bit. Because these are, I feel like I overlooked so much of this stuff and was just kind of being taken away by the spectacle of it. But one of the things that definitely bugged me was the power loader climax battle, because I am just so sick and tired of this franchise, or these franchises rather, Alien and Predator, self-referencing. I'm just so sick of it. Like, I crave new terrain and new set pieces and new creativity. When we get that, I get excited. But the callbacks and stuff like that, I just have run their course and then some. And the thing that's interesting about this movie is like it's a bold choice to focus your movie on the Predator, because the Predator has always been the killer, the bad guy. It would be like trying to make a movie from a xenomorph's point of view. You can't do that really without there being some characters to balance, to foil off of that character so they have someone to talk to be the audience and communicate things. And the other interesting thing about this movie is, to the best of my knowledge, there's no humans in it at all. Like it's just androids and it's just predators and whatever else is on that planet. That to me seems like a cop-out of a way to like get around gore and to get around larger questions. And once we get into, because I want to talk about Alien Earth after this, and once we get into that, there's this thing I keep bumping up against with modern films where there's a big difference between presenting ideas and actually exploring ideas. And I'm starting to get really frustrated with modern movies and TV shows presenting a bunch of cute ideas, but then doing like nothing with them, or doing so little with them that you kind of just leave the theater or leave the show just being like, okay, well, that's interesting, but like I would have liked some meat on those bones, you know? And I think between the cute stuff, right, and then the softening of the Predator in a sense, that definitely rings true here. Because there's these ideas about family, there's ideas about tribe. Yeah. And there's all this stuff's presented, but it's so safe, right? It's so incredibly safe and kind of corporatized in a way.
Definitely.
I guess generally speaking, Aaron, what's your final thoughts on it?
My final thoughts are it's good enough. I wouldn't say it's anything that I'm like crazy about. Yeah. You know, when you put it in the perspective of how do you make a Predator show work? Yeah. It's really evident in this movie is that they had to, because like typically the Predator comes in and like it rarely has any dialogue, if that, right? Yeah. They had to give a lot of dialogue obviously to this, and then that's where you get the androids so that it's just like we're not reading the entire time. Yeah. But with that being said, I thought that was really cool that it wasn't like the Predator spoke in its language the whole entire time.
Wasn't that great?
Yeah, that was like a really cool thing that they did there.
So glad he didn't start speaking English. That would have ruined it, in my opinion. I just not ready for that.
Yeah, and they didn't do anything like, I don't know, like, you know, a lot of these shows will just write some kind of weird science trope where it's like, I don't know, he has like swallows a pill and can speak a language or download something to his brain, right? And there was none of that, and which I am greatly appreciate. Yeah, exactly. Or like bumps his head and can, something that you can understand everyone. So I was grateful that they did that. And like I said, overall, it was a pretty good movie. It's just not really what I would have expected for a Predator movie. Yeah. I don't want to sympathize with the Predator. And I think that's the difference. Like, I want to watch this Predator just, like, wreck you know?
Yeah.
I would even settle for like, I don't know, some kind of like Predator homeworld gladiator like scenario where it's just basically Gladiator, but it's just
like killers.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. And you know what? Like, I mean, obviously I'm a big fan of anime, and I don't speak Japanese or understand it, but I don't have a problem reading episodes, and I would definitely read a whole entire movie, but there's a lot of people who wouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's kind of one of the biggest issues that you kind of have to work around in creating a Predator movie. So with that being said, I think he did the best that he could do without making a movie that was just that you had to read the entire dialogue the whole time.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the real test will be what happens after this. Mm-hmm. Now that we've got the clean corporate PG-13 Predator movie out of the way, what's next? I mean, because it only did 174 million worldwide. And I know talking about budgets is annoying, but or box office is kind of annoying these days. I know a lot of people are annoyed by it, but I mean, domestic, it didn't even crack $100 million. Mm-hmm. You know, for a big budget sci-fi action movie, that's not great, right? So it's like, does it go back to streaming? Where do we go from here? I don't know if it necessarily served its purpose, but the Predator franchise, let's be honest, it has a bit of a stink on it. And I don't think that this necessarily undid the bad will of the last, I don't know how long, right? So it's like, who knows? We'll see. I think the next thing we should definitely get into here, which kind of goes hand in hand with what's going on with this franchise, is Alien Earth.
How's our girl?
She's ready.
You're going to be the first person to transition from a human body to a synthetic.
Because I'm special.
That's right. You're very, very special.
We have a downed spacecraft.
I want what's on that ship.
We can do it. We're fast, we're strong, we don't break.
It's like a zoo, but the animals got out.
This ship collected 5 different life forms from the darkest corners of the universe. Monsters.
You and I went on record last episode, and we both didn't like this.
Yeah.
I finished it. I don't think you finished it, right?
No, I never finished it.
Okay, I want to get your thoughts on this, because I have some notes here, and then I have some thoughts as to why I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, let it rip. Let's hear it.
Okay, so my thoughts on Alien Earth, I don't know, how do I say this without offending people is what I'm trying to get to.
That's a good way to start.
So please don't get overly offended. This is just my personal opinion and how I felt when I was watching the show.
Yeah,
you might have felt a little bit different, but for me, this is what kind of ruined it. So basically, everything sounded really cool, really awesome, and I think where I kind of started to tune out was whenever they started making the little child soldier people, uploading the children's consciousness into the androids' bodies.
Yeah.
When you put a child's likeness, their maturity level into an adult body.
Yeah.
By no means is it cool. It is not cool whatsoever. I just felt that I was watching a bunch of mentally retarded people walk around in a space station and fight an alien. And that's what I mean is it wasn't doing it for me. Whatever it was, it couldn't captivate me. It wasn't compelling enough for me to be attached to these characters and want to watch more. And so, I made it to the second episode and was just like, this really isn't my cup of tea. And I am going to stop watching it because, I think I touched about this earlier, in like earlier episodes of Jury Duties, where I'm trying to be a little bit more selective with my time and which shows that I'm watching.
Totally.
Just because, in this day and age where we're just force-fed content, whether it be social media, TikTok, like movies, streaming, any of that stuff, there's just so much content. And there's like an oversaturation of it. And so I'm trying to pick and choose things that I really like. And I just couldn't get over the second episode and watching the like children androids go after an alien kind of thing. But I don't know. And again, I apologize if what I said offended anyone. That's not what I was trying to do. It was just simply my thoughts and my feelings on it. Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, it didn't offend me, that's for sure. I had very high hopes for this show. I looked forward to it for a long time, ever since Romulus, basically. I was excited when I found out Timothy Olyphant was in it because he's, loved him in Justified and a few other things. Always happy to see him doing stuff. And the idea that they were introducing some new monster aliens or whatever was pretty cool to me. And the trailers looked really cool and really interesting. But as soon as we got into the meat of the show, I realized that those trailers were kind of advertising a different show altogether. Aaron, nothing about this show worked for me.
Yeah.
Like, literally nothing. It felt like work to get through. I hated the music, the musical choices, the score, the composition was all over the place, different styles, different instrumentation, nods to the movies, nods to like the rock songs at the end of every episode. The look of Earth I didn't agree with. The lazy, stupid Peter Pan analogy that's been beat over the head, and the technology gap bugged me. It didn't make sense to me. I hated the editing style, the constant fade in, fade out stuff. And the pacing was like glacial. It like I said, two or three different episodes of this show put me to sleep on the couch, and I had to like rewatch the last 10 or 20 minutes of each of these episodes the next day or before watching the next one. And this is a franchise that like you and I have talked for hours about, like literally hours. We both really like the Aliens franchise. And if we're saying we didn't get through it and that it's work and all this stuff, like there's something wrong here because this show should have been for people like us, right? I don't get it. I really don't. I'll tell you the scene that lost me is, you know what? Let me quickly pull up their names because I can't even remember everyone's names in this, and I feel bad not being able to tell you who the characters are. Wendy, of course I should remember that. Peter Pan analogy. When Wendy first gets put in her new body, okay? Now, there's this joke in writing. Well, it's not really a joke. It's more of a meme in like fiction writing, right? Where whenever a guy writes a female character, the only way that the guy knows how to describe her is by like breast size and like ass size or something, right? So there's this joke that like men don't know how to describe women, or it's like describe a character's appearance, a woman's character appearance, without saying anything about her bust size or anything else, right? And as soon as Wendy, this little kid, gets put in this adult body, what does she do? She immediately grabs her chest and says, "These feel weird," and starts moving them around. And the second that I think that's like the first episode. The second that happened, I was like, oh my God, are we seriously doing this? I was like, what the f***? This is supposed to be like heady sci-fi. It's not. It's trying to be smart sci-fi, but it is anything but. Like some of the characters in this show make the dumbest decisions. Yeah. There are some extremely unlikable characters in this series. And something that jumped out at me that I don't typically notice, and I never really mention or complain about this, But there's such a commitment to diversity in this show that it is distractingly obvious.
Yeah.
And I don't care about that. Like, I really just, it's not something that's typically on my radar. But in this show, I was like, okay, well, maybe they're doing it because each child, you know, trying it with a different set of genes, a different, like, nationality. But something about it in this show felt so overt, as if the people over at Disney and Fox were just checking the boxes that they needed for the different demographics in the show, that I just, like, forgive me for saying so, but holy smokes, was that distracting.
Yeah.
I didn't like how the xenomorph was handled, how it was kind of just, it didn't feel threatening or dangerous, even if it was, like, destroying people. It just felt like Wendy takes it down with a paper cutter.
Yeah.
It just didn't make sense to me that this would be the direction this show went. And there's a lot of ideas that are presented, like the idea of Neverland, Peter Pan communicating with the xenomorph, all these different aliens, that little eyeball thing, all these different ideas thrown at you. And none of them are actually explored with any sense of purpose or finality, or in that the high concept sci-fi way where you go away and you're like, man, that's interesting. Like, what would that be like? Like, none of that's here. It's just boring slop. I was really discouraged when I saw on social media that Sigourney Weaver was praising this, being like, I can't believe this is TV. This is incredible. It's the best thing ever.
She didn't watch it.
No, I was like, and then I kept thinking of her demands in making Alien 3 that we talked about. And I was like, I don't think she understands what people like about Alien in the first place.
I guarantee you she didn't watch it and they just paid her a bunch of money to say that.
Well, I hope she got paid a lot, because, man, was this show not what I expected. Here's the thing, Aaron. Fans of this franchise are no stranger to sort of sitting on our hands and wondering how or if certain things will ever connect or be explained or conclude, for that matter, right? Just to name a few. The Navigator from Alien 1. People wondered what that thing's deal was for, like, years. 20 years? Where do alien queens come from? I don't even think we know that answer yet. What does the alien homeworld look like? The Prometheus trilogy. What would Earth look like? Will Alien 3 ever be decanonized? What will Alien Romulus Part 2 be like? There's all these things in this franchise that have just been kind of hanging out forever. And rather than explore any of that stuff, rather than try to bring any sense of satisfaction to any of that stuff, along comes this show that just says, oh, here's some more crap to think about, but not in a satisfactory way. Here's some more. It's just noise. It doesn't fit into the bigger puzzle. Like, I was under the impression that Earth was a complete hole in the Alien franchise. I don't know if you got that impression too, but it seemed like Earth was a hole, and that was why so many people were taking these awful off-planet mining jobs, because it wasn't much better than what they were doing back on Earth. Whereas in this show, Earth looks like an entirely decent place to be most of the time, depending on what corporate sector you're living in.
Yeah.
It's nicer than, like, a cyberpunk style world. It's literally just like a boring, I don't know, like a boring San Francisco or something. Who knows? Like, it just didn't feel like it was part of the same universe.
Do you remember that old Robin Williams movie, Jack?
Yeah.
It's basically Jack was if Jack was in this Aliens movie. Or Alien show, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's, I mean, good for them for trying to do something different, but, it's just so odd in this day and age where we get, like, so many remakes and, like, sequels and things like that, just rehashing of the same idea.
Yeah.
But yet, you just kind of want to make this whole entire series, like, a little bit different. I don't know.
The worst part about this, too, is that I stuck through it to the end, and so did everyone else, and I watched the online sentiment slowly change, because the first couple episodes came out, everybody was fawning over this show, and we weren't recording at the time, but I thought, like, man, is there something wrong with me that I don't like this? Because I'm a pretty big Aliens fan, and I think this is trash, and people slowly came around to the idea of, like, oh, maybe this isn't good at all.
Yeah.
And then by the finale, the final episode resolves absolutely nothing. It's just, it's season 2 bait. That's all it is. Completely open-ended. All the main characters are still around. It just ends with this scene that we know is not going to get resolved because that's not how shows work. And you're just like, really? This whole finale was just setting up another season? And sure enough, it's been greenlit. So in 2 or 3 years, there's going to be another season of this bullshit. Anyway, I said I'd go off, and I went off. I can't wrap my head around this one, man. This isn't for me.
Tell me how you really feel, Dan.
I know. Obviously passionate about this franchise. I want it to succeed, but this ain't it. This ain't it, Chief.
No, sadly it is not.
Earlier this year, I read a 4-issue comic run, Aliens versus Avengers. It was by Hickman and the group and the like there, and it was really good. It was really had some memorable scenes in it, including Mr. Sinister shooting face huggers out of basically a t-shirt cannon at people, and the aliens absolutely decimate the known like universe. It's really extraordinary how they do it using like Wakandan technology and stuff. Just basically pouring out of portals and wiping everyone out. And the Avengers are much older. And with all of this stuff now under the same banner, I think the door might be slightly open for some kind of Aliens, Avengers, Predator, mega movie of sorts. And I don't know if I even want that to happen, but there's a non-zero chance that that's what all of this is heading towards. And I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah, and can you imagine if in Disney's like retooling of Marvel or whatever, if they somehow incorporate aliens and predators?
Well, I'll definitely be keeping my eye out for a Weyland-Yutani logo in Doomsday, because I don't know, man. I don't know what their plans are, but they're exploring stuff in the comics. And again, I think they're using comics to kind of see what people are interested in, I think is the best way to put it. So, So anyway, Aliens, Earth, not a fan.
Not a fan. Yeah, did you have anything else you wanted to add to this, Dan?
I do. So this one, much more positive on this one. I want to talk about a movie called Bugonia.
Greetings. Welcome to the headquarters of the human resistance.
Where's my hair?
Your hair has been destroyed to prevent you from contacting your ship.
What ship?
Your mothership?
Okay. In the next 48 hours, the police and the FBI will begin a statewide manhunt. I'm a high-profile female corporate executive. I am crucial. In all humility, I can say that. Think of it like you abducted the governor, but worse. There is no possible scenario where you benefit from this incident.
That was really good. My pulse is racing right now.
The latest movie from Yorgos Lanthimos.
Okay.
It stars Emma Stone, Jesse Plemons, Aidan Delbis, and I can never say his name, but Stavros Halkias, the comedian. I'm so sorry if I butchered his name. This movie, it just came out in 2025. I think it just was in theaters, but basically it started. Jesse Plemons and Aidan Delbis are these two like conspiracy theorists that kidnap Emma Stone's character Michelle because they think that she's an alien from Andromeda and that she wants to destroy the Earth. She's like this corporate hotshot, like businesswoman of the year. Essentially, she's responsible for doing some harm to Jesse Plemons' mother and family. And so there's this entangled plot of like this kidnapping that's gone kind of off the rails. And you kind of spend the whole movie wondering whether or not she actually is an alien from Andromeda or if Jesse Plemons' character is truly as crazy as he seems. And it is a little bit like maybe a touch over long, a little bit dry, and it's very quirky in the way all this guy's films are. But I would say it's very entertaining. It definitely has a entertaining conclusion with some jaw-dropping moments, I want to say. I definitely think it's worth a watch. It's very quirky and definitely not going to be everyone's cup of tea. It's pretty violent and gory and obviously has some pretty uncomfortable content given, kidnapping and all this crazy stuff that happens in it. But it is interesting and it is fresh and unique. And yeah, I give it a soft recommend.
I'll definitely have to check that one out. I haven't seen it. I have heard of it, and I did see a trailer for it, but I don't know. I'm probably the only one in this boat, but I'm not a real fan of Emma Stone, and so I kind of stayed away from it. But I am a big Jesse Plemons fan since like watching him in Friday Night Lights. But he's a terrific actor.
He really is, and they're both incredible in this movie. Jesse Plemons is like almost unrecognizable in this movie. He's lost a ton of weight. I don't know if it was for the role or just in general, but he's like super, super thin. And Emma Stone is, I don't know, she has to do a lot of uncomfortable things in this movie, but like the way her character starts in this movie is kind of what I imagine her to be like in real life.
Okay.
Just this like snobby, image-obsessed corporate lady. And it was kind of weird to me. I'm like, I don't know. This is kind of like what I think she really is like. It didn't cross my mind, but excellent acting, and it's a real like psychological character study. A little bit of dark humor, but again, a little dry, maybe a little overlong. I think you could have trimmed down some of this movie and made it a little more palatable. Because when you're watching a movie and sometimes it sort of drifts in and out of reality in a way where like there'll be all of a sudden it'll kind of break away to some imagery that's kind of conveying an idea or conveying an event that happened, but in an artistic way, and then it sort of pops back in. This movie does that a few times, but not in a way that's super cohesive. Like, it doesn't do it often enough or with enough fluidity that it feels like it's part of the same movie. So I struggle with that a little bit, where I wanted it to feel more like, okay, like if we're planted in reality, let's stay planted in reality for the whole movie. Or if we're going to be whimsical, let's just get super whimsical. But this movie, it can kind of pull you in and out. It really keeps you on your toes, and right till the end. So, yeah, check it out. It's definitely one of a kind. It's more unique than Alien Earth, that's for sure. Sorry for my saltiness towards Alien Earth, you guys. If you liked it, I apologize. It's just my own opinion. So,
Hey, what do we always say here? Reviews are subjective.
Exactly. It's more, I always think of this more so about entertainment than actually like, hard-hitting critique, right? So,
yeah.
All right, Aaron, 2 more things I got to talk about.
Sure.
Do you want more aliens, or you want to get a little bit more mainstream paranormal?
Let's do a little mainstream paranormal. Let's take a break from aliens.
Let's talk about Stranger Things Season 5, Volume 1.
We're really starting to lose it. Being stuck in here, no end in sight. Maybe tonight is our break. We find Vecna. We end this once and for all. Together.
This isn't like one of your campaigns. You don't get to write the ending. Not this time.
He's planning to end our world. And he's not gonna stop until we're drained of every last ounce of suffering.
At long last, we can begin.
Oh, Dan, I haven't watched any of it, and I'm majorly trying to stay away from spoilers.
Okay, I will assume that everyone else is in the same boat. So let me just do a shot across the bow here.
Okay.
Firstly,
they're too old.
No. What's that?
I said they're too old.
No, it's been beaten to death, right? They're too old.
Yeah.
They're too old. That's been well documented, I feel. This show deserves probably all of the criticism that it gets. But it's also a good show. And I don't see anyone really making a case otherwise. It is a good show. It's entertaining, and I'm enjoying it. And Season 5's no different. This first half, I thought, was really well handled. There's only one thing specifically that I don't necessarily love about it, and that's the time jump between Season 4 and 5. You really get the sense at the end of Season 4 that we're like, the final showdown is beginning, but Season 5 starts with like 18 months having passed, and the kids are back in school, and Hawkins is just kind of going about his day, and you're like, it starts from there, which was a really, it just threw me off. But that's all I'm going to say about the plot, because there's a lot you can spoil. But generally speaking, I just want to say, we'll talk about it more once you've watched it.
Yeah.
But I think it's fantastic. I think it's as strong as the show has ever been. It's got issues, for sure. It's got issues, and we'll get into those. But it's also got a ton of great stuff, too.
Can I ask you one question, Dan?
Yes.
How is the soundtrack?
So the soundtrack is good, not great. It's still kind of doing...
Okay.
It hasn't found its own identity in a sense where...
Yeah.
Like season 4, the soundtrack and the way that was handled was like just masterful, just iconic, right? This one is sort of resting on the laurels of season 4, a lot of musical callbacks, and it's not quite as...
Okay.
It's not quite there for me yet, but...
Maybe it'll pick up in the second half.
I think so. But this first half ends on a cliffhanger that had us like whooping and hollering.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. It's kind of something that I've been wanting to happen for like the entire duration of the show. And it finally kind of happens and you're like, hell yeah, let's go. I can't wait. And so, yeah, it's got its problems. It's Stranger Things, man. It's a huge streaming event of our time, really. And I'm really enjoying it. And so far, they've really stuck the landing and I'm super happy with it. Brie and I had first gotten married and we'd watched Stranger Things season 1 on Netflix. And this is before it became like a global phenomenon. And it was just kind of this small little quirky show. And I remember telling people about it, being like, dude, have you seen this show? And people were kind of like, yeah, whatever. It's just a bunch of kids. And I'm like, no, man, it's like 80s retro awesomeness, blah, 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 blah. They play D&D and stuff. And people were looking at me like I was crazy. Fast forward like 10 years later, like as long as I've been married, this show's been on. And it's like, it's still going strong and it's bigger than ever. And obviously the pressure is real to make sure this thing concludes in a satisfying way, but also sets up any kind of future stuff they want to do with this franchise. Because I'm sure Netflix is not ready to close the door entirely. I'm sure that I just can't see them saying bye-bye to Stranger Things. And yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. And I can't wait to talk about it with you.
Yeah, I'll have to get on that. I'm thinking in the new year here, I'm going to have a lot more time to watch shows and stuff. So definitely in my on my list of things to watch.
I will caution you. I'm pretty sure the finale drops on like New Year's Day, and it's like a 2.5 hours long finale.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of thinking this is one of those things where, you know, typically I'm not like as things are airing, I'm watching them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just life has been so crazy. But hopefully I've been doing a good job of staying away from spoilers. And so the most spoilers I've gotten from today. But yeah, so
I hope I didn't spoil anything for you. I don't feel like I did.
Well, I know there's a time jump now.
Oh, at the very beginning?
Yeah, I did not know that.
I'm sorry for spoiling the time jump.
I'm joking. You know, I find myself in a situation right now that I've never found myself in before. And I've recently started dating someone. And I asked her if she would like to watch the show. And she said yes. And I said, okay, well, I'll wait for you. And then our schedules have never lined up in order to be able to watch the show. So I'm trying to be a nice boyfriend and wait for her. But I think I'm getting antsy and I hate spoilers. So I think there's a good chance that I will end up watching it.
My issue is I always have to watch movies twice because I'll go see them at the theater with a friend or by myself, right? Mm-hmm. And then I'll come home and I'll be like, Brie, you got to see this movie. And then we wait for it to hit streaming or rental or whatever.
That sounds like a good problem to have.
So long as it's a good movie, yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm pretty accustomed to waiting to watch shows at this point, but I mean, I have my guilty pleasures too, like Hell's Kitchen and stuff that we watch together. But like, yeah, having to watch the same movie a couple times over, depending on the movie, right? Like, it can be a bit of a chore, but it's okay.
Well, Dan, do you want to finish off your rant about aliens?
Oh, so I have one more alien-centric thing to talk about before we punch out here.
Okay.
Are you ready? Mm-hmm. This is a little different for us. I want to talk about a documentary that just came out.
Oh, real aliens.
Oh, yeah. I know. This is the plot twist of this alien-centric episode. I want to talk about a documentary called The Age of Disclosure.
The American people are ready to receive the truth.
Humanity is not the only intelligence in the universe.
Humanity is not the only intelligent species.
We are absolutely not alone.
Non-human intelligence exists.
UAPs are real, they're here, and they're not human. I spent 25 years as a senior official with the CIA.
I've worked on highly classified UAP programs.
28 years as an astrophysicist.
I served as the 4th Director of National Intelligence.
Director of Aviation Security in the National Security Council.
The one-star admiral after 32 years of service.
People that come forward with this, I feel like they've taken their life in their own hands.
We learned that the U.S. government was involved in a long-running secret war with other nations to collect and reverse engineer vehicles not made by humans.
I have seen with my own eyes non-human craft and non-human beings.
This is so secret. Very, very few people in our entire government have been allowed access to it.
Even presidents have been operating on a need-to-know basis, but that begins to ramp out of control.
It's not acceptable to have secret parts of government that no one ever sees.
You better be careful about a government that doesn't trust its people, because there's no telling what they'll pull on you.
We should have disclosure today. We should have disclosure tomorrow. The time has come.
So I take it you've watched it then?
I did.
Okay.
This is from director Dan Farah, who is a producer of like Ready Player One. I don't know what else you guys would have heard of. Maybe The Phenomenon he was a producer on. Anyway, this documentary is very interesting because essentially what it is like something like 32 different government officials coming forward, documentary style, and basically saying that there's a there to the whole UFO thing or UAP thing. The core story is that the United States is in possession of crashed craft and alien bodies, and that they've been trying to reverse engineer this technology, and they're kind of in an arms race with their foreign adversaries such as China and Russia to reverse engineer this stuff before it becomes weaponized by these other competing states, and everyone gets blown to smithereens in a sense. Anyway, so the way I want to start with this documentary is first and foremost is who is this for? The reason I ask that is because this documentary came out on Amazon Prime, but at a premium rental/purchase price. So here in Canada, after tax, it's like almost $30 to rent this thing. That's on top of your Amazon Prime subscription. So this isn't something that like the average Joe Blow can just turn on the TV and watch on Netflix or Prime. You have to feel compelled to say, oh, I wonder what the government's saying about this topic. Let's spend $30 of my dollars in the middle of Black Friday and Christmas shopping and watch a bunch of talking heads for an hour and a half, right? Anybody that's willing to do that, at least in my opinion, has probably already made up their mind about how they feel about this topic.
Yeah.
If you're going to shell out $30 on a UFO documentary, chances are you already believe that UFOs are real, right? So that bugs me and makes me feel kind of weird about the whole proceeding because it's a very well done documentary. It's very polished. But if you're well versed in the topic, there's nothing presented here that's necessarily new. And when I was talking to you about it, your feedback about this I thought was very measured and very appropriate, where you were talking about how they don't really bring the receipts, right? Yeah, can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, we had originally been talking about this documentary a little bit here.
Yeah.
And, you and I have been paying attention to this stuff for years, and especially since it started getting, like, real crazy. Because when was that? Like 2017?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there? Like, you and I have been paying attention to all this sort of stuff even prior to then. But then, you could definitely see that there was this paradigm shift that kind of happened around 2018 when they started disclosing things. And so, obviously, we've been paying more and more attention to it. But the problem with all of this alien talk or, like, crashed UFOs and all of this is that there is endless amounts of people talking about their experiences or things that they heard or seen or secondhand information. But there has yet to be one single shred of like undeniable evidence is what I would put it at.
Yeah.
So with that being said, it just has been, they call it UFO fatigue, or is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of that going along around if you're listening to it, because there is never anything released that would make you be like, okay, this is it. This is the definitive answer. I guess probably to me what it sounds like you're saying is this is a culmination of all of the stuff that's kind of out there on the internet right now, kind of wrapped up in a documentary, right?
In a sense, yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that it's kind of like, I don't know, like I guess, what would you say? This one is a little bit more, I guess, harder hitting because it has bigger name politicians that are coming forward in it.
Yeah.
But other than that, there is no real new information. There also is no like physical evidence. And just like how you were talking about the Aliens Earth show, where it's just kind of leaving you with a lot more questions than are answered, right?
Yeah.
This is also one thing worth mentioning that I thought, and I know it was a conversation between you and I when we were having this years ago, because you and I both grew up very religious. My parents they're very Christian. Mm-hmm. Throughout my entire life, I just remember, my parents always kind of being like, the end of the world is coming, like Judgment Day is coming, things like that, and saying that, like, one day we're gonna go back up to heaven and things like that. Like, and it got so. Let me try to put this in perspective. So this is getting a little personal with my life here, but a few years ago, my dad passed away, and it came to a complete shock to my mother because in my mom's head, the whole entire time, she thought that God was going to come back to earth and take us all to heaven, and the rapture was going to happen. And so when her husband actually passed away, rather than being, taken up in heaven to heaven, it came as like a huge shock to her, right?
Yeah.
And so I was mentioning this to you, and I don't know if anyone else out there has like older, boomer Christian parents, but it is something very odd and something that I see happening quite a bit with like, other people that I know and their parents and what they believe. And so what I was kind of saying to you, Dan, was that like I feel like alien information or like all these UFO talks and things like that is our version of the Christian end times, right?
Right.
And so with all of this being said, I have now chosen to kind of approach it with a little bit of
trepidation.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm like very wary of everything kind of going on. And in the back of my head, like I'm like, okay, well, this is all cool, but like I'll believe it when I see some actual like evidence. Don't get me wrong, that hasn't stopped me from like listening to endless hours of podcasts about like aliens and like phenomenons and like all this like weird stuff that goes. But I do like to listen to it. I find it very entertaining. And I almost think that it is somehow kind of become like the best form of entertainment because it happens to do with our real life. And it's this huge mystery that's going on that we have no idea. And they just keep releasing enough information for us to kind of be like coming back for more.
Yeah.
However, like I said, I'm trying to get out of that mindset and just like does it affect me in my daily life? Like, not until the physical, actual aliens are here, it does not affect me in my daily life. And so that's kind of the lens that I view it under. I know that was a really long-winded explanation.
Oh, no. I think that's perfect. Honestly, like that was one of the reasons I was so excited to talk to you about this, because I feel like the lens that you see this through is actually like super healthy and probably the best place to be right now. And I'll bring up the work of a lady named Diana Pasulka. She's written a few books about basically religious experience as it relates to UFO experiences or alien abductions and aliens encounters and things of that nature. And really great writer, really intelligent when it comes to like, you know, religious studies, Catholicism, things like that. And she raised a point that ufology is becoming kind of like a modern day religion. And that's pretty freaky to me, because there's these two parallel tracks that seem to be happening. The first one is that, and in order for this first one to be real at all, you basically have to agree with the baseline premise that UFOs are real and that the U.S. government does have some. That's already like a big leap. That's already like, and even that fact right there is like completely unverifiable for someone like me or you, right? So it's already right out of the gate, we have problems. But it's like, okay, if you believe this, then what seems to be happening is that right now, all this alien tech, for lack of a better word, or non-human intelligence, technology, craft, whatever, is in the hands of like military industrial complex places like Lockheed Martin, Skunk Works, Northrop Grumman, places like that. They have the bodies, they have the tech, but they're hitting a brick wall because the best and brightest minds can't get their grubby little hands on it because overclassification, too much stovepiping, all over compartmentalization, all that stuff. So what I see happening is this push to pull that stuff out and essentially try to get it into the hands of the tech bros.
Yeah.
The Peter Thiels, the Elon Musk. I recently found out Peter Thiel was actually trying to make a database of everybody who's ever been abducted by UFOs. This is coming from Jacques Vallée. So there's some freaky stuff going on where it seems like people like Elon Musk, the tech bros, they want a piece of this pie. And let's be honest, they could probably do something with it. But the fact that there's this weird push to yank that stuff out of the military should raise a lot of like alarm bells for a lot of people. But granted that any of this is actually friggin' true to begin with, right? The other parallel track that this movie brings up is that there's kind of this underlining truth that is too scary to be told. And we know it, bro, but we can't tell you. You know, people like Luis Elizondo, who seems like a decent human being, but he's saying things like, if I told you the truth of what I know, you'd wish you knew it sooner. And it's like, give me a break, man. That's like, this hidden truth stuff is just so, I'm just allergic to it, right? And there's been bubblings and rumors about some future disclosure thing that's going to be too big to deny. I've heard the date 2027 floating around a ton, whether it's a craft arriving at Earth or whether it's some sort of revelation. Famous abductee Chris Bledsoe says that there's going to be some revelation next Easter. He wrote that in his book. And so people are starting to put their chips down and say, the end is nigh. And, you know, as somebody, like you said, like as somebody who grew up in something that is tantamount to a doomsday cult, I'm like opposed to this, full stop. Like I'm allergic to this whole end of the world stuff.
Yeah.
Because I've seen the goalposts move in my life. My parents, man, they were involved with Armstrongism. And that guy passed away after his failed doomsday predictions, and then the religion kept going, and I think it's still going to this day. And I'm telling you, like, if you tell me that you know when the world's going to end, I'm just going to go back to work. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a fan of sci-fi, but like, when you're telling me that Big Daddy government's going to tell me if this is real or not, and that they know when things are coming and that we all better, you know, get ready and trust our tech bro overlords to protect us, I got nothing to add to that. It's like, okay, cool. We have so many hurdles to overcome before we can even get to a reality where any of this makes any sort of sense. I know a lot of people who've had experiences, as myself included, right? Like, I've seen UFOs with people. I've seen UFOs by myself. I have a family member who shot one that was over their house, bounced a bullet off the thing and it flew up into the, you know, like I have stories in my family that are like so bizarre and vividly like UFO alien style stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that I think that all of this stuff is necessarily real. And it doesn't mean that I necessarily think that the United States is in possession of tech. They might be. A lot of signs point to them being.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that I'm ready to make all these other logical jumps without, like you said, some huge concrete evidence of some kind.
Yeah.
And even if Trump became the disclosure president, like people like Marco Rubio in this documentary are asserting, like he's going to make a big revelation. If he's the guy that steps to the podium and says, hey, we've been lying to you for 80 years and UFOs are real and we have to provide amnesty for the secret keepers because here's why, because I don't know, it was after World War II or during the Cold War, tensions were high, we decided to hide it. Like whatever that truth is, who's going to actually believe that coming from him besides his own base?
Yeah.
All of this seems so misguided and culty and frustrating.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just talked uninterrupted for like 10 minutes.
That's perfectly okay. I completely agree with you with what you said there. I think we're just too traumatized from our religious upbringing that like we can't go into anything blindly because we've done that and we've seen where it goes.
Yeah.
Someone finds a way to take advantage of it and mold it to work for themselves. So unless you can show me something physical, like I will enjoy learning about it and listening to it, but I would not say I'm a knower.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure, right?
Does anybody really know exactly what's happening? I do not think so. And I think the same is true for government.
And I also think that's by design.
Everybody in their family has some sort of crazy paranormal story, whether it's like someone had sleep paralysis and saw shadow people, or someone saw a UFO, or someone claims they were abducted, or everyone's got these stories in their families. You kind of just have to hold those as your own personal truths. If they're real to you, then that's all you really have to go on. And you kind of just have to incorporate that in a meaningful way, whether it's seeing them as real or seeing them as fiction. That's up to you. You can't rely on anybody else to explain those to because nobody knows. And I think so many people get caught up looking for answers that they watch these documentaries, or they watch Gaia TV, or they watch who's that one guy? Stephen Greer guy who talks about like how aliens are all love and light and how everything's friendly and he seems to know the answer to everything. The people that get sucked into those culty style circles and go on UFO cruises and stuff are people that are seeking answers.
Yeah.
Just like a religion, right? They're looking for something to justify and explain the life experiences they've had. Anyway, so this documentary, it just got me thinking about all of this in the broader context where I'm like, I don't know what's going on. It's nice to see some talking heads go on and on about it because it kind of makes me feel less crazy because like I said, I've seen stuff, my family's seen stuff, had some crazy experiences in my life, and this just makes me feel like, yeah, there is a there, or there's definitely some smoke there. Maybe there's some fire. But at the end of the day, it's just more blue balls, more UFO blue balls.
Yeah, pretty much.
To piggyback off this, one more thing to mention. This documentary came out at the same time as, Dan Farah went on the Joe Rogan show and does a big episode about the documentary and aliens. Joe Rogan goes on the Jesse Michaels show and does a big interview about aliens. David Grush came back out of hiding and was on like Fox News or something. There's a coordination to all of this.
Yeah.
And that should raise the eyebrows of most reasonable people to be like, where are we going with this? Why does it feel like some sort of coordinated effort to get this? Like, why now is the question that keeps coming up. Short of it actually being doomsday or the end of the Kali Yuga or whatever people want to call it, there's got to be a more cynical answer to this, and I just don't know what it is yet.
Yeah. And I don't think we ever will know.
I don't think so. Like a lot of brilliant people have come and gone, and I don't think anyone has truly nailed it. And if they have, who knows, right? But yeah, no, I've seen lots of UFOs in my life, some alone. I've seen I remember once while bike riding, I saw a little white cigar-shaped UFO just skitter across the sky as silently as can be. My dad and I saw one on the way to church one day. It was this little I don't want to say tic-tac, even though that's the common thing to say nowadays, but it definitely had that little shape, and it was bouncing back and forth on the horizon, left, right. People were pulled over on the side of the road watching it.
Yeah.
Saw one at my grandma's house while I was working in her backyard. A classic UFO saucer just sailing across the sky of Quesnel. It's crazy. Bree and I saw one in Drumheller that we, for a second, thought was straight up going to abduct us. Big old bright light right over top of us. That was... And Bree had never seen anything like that, so that was cool. And then there's paranormal stuff, like shadow people and this crazy thing that happened at the summer camp you and I used to volunteer at.
Yeah, that was wild.
Enough stuff's happened where I think there's a there.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I think for me, kind of more of the spiritual side of things is kind of where I'm entertained more. Yeah. And then I will also say like the ancient Earth kind of stuff, I'm more entertained.
Yeah.
As far as actual aliens coming from space to our Earth, like I said, my mindset is like, okay, well, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
But there is actual like you were saying, spiritual people and how you and I both had that, or sorry, not spiritual people, shadow people.
Yeah.
And how you and I both had that one weird experience.
If I had to say what my theory is on all of this, like gun to my head, what's going on, I personally think there's multiple things happening.
Yeah.
Just from my own point of view, my own like research and intuition, because like when you first get into the topic of UFOs, it starts very nuts and bolts, very like flying saucer, oh, I saw something or someone saw something, but the longer you research the topic, the more bizarre it gets, the more esoteric and spiritual it becomes, until suddenly you're not even really talking about aliens anymore. You're talking about like interdimensional or spiritual or like future or past. All these different new theories kind of enter the conversation. And I'm kind of the opinion that there's multiple things interacting at once.
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion that there's things here with us, probably in the oceans. A lot of a lot of anecdotal research and stories have come out about like alien bases under the water or breakaway civilizations, maybe advanced humanoids living down there. There might even be breakaway civilizations on other planets, but that might also be in tandem with other alien beings or dimensional beings or the spiritual component, like what we would typically call angels or demons or jinn. I think it's possibly all in a big blender, and we're just kind of scrambling in the dark for a flashlight to kind of understand any of this. But at the same time, I got to go to Costco and buy food. I got to work my 9 to 5, right? Like, it's like cool, but like you said, like, is this really like helping me or enriching me? You know, like, not really. Like, you still got to hoe your garden. You still got to chop wood and carry water, right? Like, you got to just... Anyway, I'm glad I got that off my chest. I feel like that's been a long time coming on this podcast. But this documentary, is it worth watching? Yeah, I think so. It helps solidify and validate a lot of the things.
Definitely if you're new to the information as well. Yeah. I would say it's highly worth watching then.
Yeah.
But if you're like us and you kind of been around it, it's like, I don't know. Oh, well, sorry, there's one thing I wanted to add to it as well, that I kind of find odd. Like, I get people invest their time, their energy, their money into something like this. But, if it is something that is that important and you want the whole entire world to be aware of, don't you think you would want to give it away for free?
Right.
Right. And that's the thing that kind of gets me. It's like, not necessarily even for free, but maybe for like $5, not $30. And so
I know for the low price of $30, you can know about your place in the universe, Aaron.
Exactly. And so that's kind of like, okay, like I don't need to know $30. Need to know that bad, right? Like, I guess that's my line. My line is $30. Yeah. But yeah.
Hey, buddy, you want to know if aliens are real? What's it worth to you? Huh?
Yeah, exactly. Huh? And like I said, it's just rehashing of the same information. Like, every once in a while, you'll kind of hear it maybe explained a little bit differently, and then you'll kind of get your interest piqued again. But for the most part, it's a lot of rehashing the same information.
Yeah, like if if you're new to this topic and you're still like, fresh-faced and doughy-eyed and bushy-tailed and you're excited about the idea of aliens being real, this will make your head spin. But if you're a little more cynical and a little more down the road or have had traumatic religious experiences, it almost will make you a little bit frustrated and a little bit mad just because there's too much gatekeeping happening still. There's too much like, I know the answers, but I'm not going to tell you. But maybe you'll find out in 2 years, wink, wink, and you're like, get out of here.
Yeah, definitely.
That being said, apparently the trailer for Steven Spielberg's new UFO movie drops with Avatar. I don't know for sure, but from what I'm reading online, it looks like it's attached to the new Avatar movie. So again, the coordinated slow rollout continues, and we'll see where this all goes. It's very fascinating. It's very entertaining. I know this isn't a UFO podcast, but it's a very, very alien-centric episode. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Let us know, please, your thoughts on it, your thoughts on UFO, the state of disclosure, if disclosure is even going to happen. And we'll see where we go from here as a human family.
Yeah, definitely. I hope you guys enjoyed, the talk about the real aliens.
Yeah, I'm sorry for my rants, you guys. I really went off the handles a couple times in this episode, but a lot to get off. A lot to get off my chest, Aaron. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Okay, well, until next time, don't believe everything you hear. And we'll catch you on the next episode of In Defense of a Movie Podcast.
Bye.